Hi, my name is Melissa Merkel, and today I'm going to be talking about the Coretta Scott King Book Award. According to the American Library Association, the purpose of the Coretta Scott King Award is, quote, to encourage the artistic expression of the African American experience via literature and the graphic arts, including biographical, historical, and social history treatments by African American authors and illustrators, end quote. The Coretta Scott King Award was created in 1969 by Mabel McKissick and Glendon Greer. In 1970, Lily Patterson won the first Coretta Scott King Award for her book, Martin Luther King Jr., Man of Peace. In 1979, the Coretta Scott King Award became a part of the American Library Association's Social Responsibilities Roundtable. And in 1982, the Coretta Scott King Award was recognized as an official award by the ALA. The Coretta Scott King Award may have emerged when it did for two reasons. The first reason the award may have emerged when it did is because of the political climate of the United States in the late 1960s. The award was created in 1969, which is a year after the Civil Rights Movement ended. The timing of the award's creation signals that the award has an overarching social meaning. The founders of this award wanted the world to know that there is a need for African American literature, and African American literature is just as valued as literature featuring solely Caucasian protagonists. Another reason the Coretta Scott King Award may have emerged when it did has to do with the death of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in April of 1968, and the Coretta Scott King Award was created 1 year later in 1969. The creation of the award in 1969 was not only a statement about the importance of African American literature, it was also meant to honor Martin Luther King Jr. by recognizing his wife and all of the work that she did to make his dream become a reality. In order for a book to win a Coretta Scott King Award, there are 8 criteria that must be met. These criteria are: 1. Must be written or illustrated by an African American. 2. Must be an original work. 3. Must portray some aspect of the Black experience either in the past, present, or future. 4. Must be published in the United States in the year preceding the presentation of the award. 5. Must meet established standards of quality writing for youth, which includes a clear plot and accuracy of information, well-drawn characters who grow and develop over the course of the story, and writing style which is consistent with and suitable to the intended age of the audience. 6. Must be written for a youth audience in one of 3 categories: preschool to grade 4, grades 5 through 8, or grades 9 through 12. 7. Titles must seek to motivate readers to develop their own attitudes and behaviors as well as comprehend their personal duty and responsibilities as citizens. And finally, criteria 8, which states, illustrations must extend the reader's awareness of the world around them. Winners of the award are chosen by the Coretta Scott King Committee. The Coretta Scott King Committee is made up of 2 separate entities, including the Coretta Scott King Executive Board and the Ethnic and Multicultural Information Exchange Roundtable. Approximately 60 to 100 titles are considered each year when selecting a winner. In his article, Slippery Slopes and Proliferating Prizes, Mark Aronson opposes the Coretta Scott King Award and other alternative awards given in children's literature. Aronson argues that the Coretta Scott King Award balkanizes literature and puts less pressure on the general population to read, understand, appreciate, and develop a critical eye for African American literature. While researching praise for the Coretta Scott King Award, I came across a panel interview with 4 authors and 1 illustrator who have all won the Coretta Scott King Award. All 5 recipients stated how important the Coretta Scott King Award is for children of color. Yuka Holmes, who has won the Coretta Scott King Award multiple times for her illustrations, stated, quote, I think the first book I read about an African American girl was one that I wrote myself, end quote. Other panel members recalled a lack of literature with African American protagonists in their childhoods as well. The panel members were all vocal about how the Coretta Scott King Award has positively impacted the African American community. While gathering materials for this video presentation, I searched 4 different public libraries in the Midwest for Coretta Scott King Award winners. All 4 of the public libraries I searched had multiple Coretta Scott King Award winners on their shelves. Based on the results of my personal search, I do not see issues based on accessibility. Families in the Midwest region will find it easy to procure copies of award winners in their public libraries. All 4 of the public libraries that I researched had an interlibrary loan feature, which helps readers get access to a certain book that a library may not have on its shelves. The fact that it is easy to get a hold of Coretta Scott King Award winners from public libraries means that this award has importance in the community. Reading books about African American children is important for children of all races. African American children will be able to identify with the characters in the books, and children of other races will be able to get a glimpse into the African American experience. When looking at the list of books that have received the Coretta Scott King Award since its founding in 1969, there is a wide variety of genres represented. Some of the genres represented include nonfiction, realistic fiction, poetry, and historical fiction. Because of the wide age range of the Coretta Scott King Award, there are 2 books chosen to win the award in 1 year. The book that is chosen for the upper end of the age range does not typically have pictures and is chosen more for the content. The book that is chosen for the lower end of the age range has content relevant to the African American experience, as well as illustrated pictures that enhance the meaning of the text. When looking at the award list, there seems to be variety in the authors who are chosen to win the award. There are some authors who have won the award twice for different books, but overall the list of winners is composed of many different authors. However, there seems to be a lot of illustrators who continue to win the Coretta Scott King Award. Some illustrators who can be seen multiple times on the winners list are Brian Collier, Ashley Bryan, and Yuka Holmes. There does not appear to be a ton of intersectionality in books that have won the Coretta Scott King Award in the past. In my research, I was not able to find a protagonist that was not heterosexual or cisgendered. I did find one book that had some intersectionality with disability and ethnicity. Bronx Masquerade by Nikki Grimes has a character who is dyslexic, but this does not appear to be a main point of focus throughout the book. Bronx Masquerade also has characters of different ethnicities, including characters of African American, Hispanic, Caucasian, and Italian descent. The book does describe some of the difficulties each character faces with their different ethnicities. In my opinion, alternative pricing has made a positive impact on the publication and dissemination of high-quality, diverse children's books. Before the 1970s, there were hardly any children's books featuring an African American protagonist because of the racist state of our country. The goal of the Coretta Scott King Award was to encourage the African American experience through literature and the graphic arts. The number of Coretta Scott King Award winners and the accessibility to the award-winning titles shows that the award has accomplished what it originally set out to do. African American children now have more access to children's books featuring Black protagonists than they did many years ago. Having a prize dedicated specifically to African American children's literature shows readers of all races that the African American culture is important and valuable. In his article about prizing children's literature, Kenneth Kidd discusses African American authors and prizing. There were a handful of African American authors who opposed the prizing of African American literature because they saw it as infantilizing the white patronage system. However, there were African American authors who saw the prizing of African American literature as powerful. I personally tend to see the prizing of African American literature as powerful because it shows readers of all races that the African American culture is something to be valued, and it challenges some of the stereotypical ideas set forth by literature of previous time periods. In her article, Awards That Stand on Solid Ground, Andrea Davis Pinkney advocates for alternative prizing in children's literature. Pinkney states that denigrating alternative awards because of their criteria takes something significant away from the members of the communities who can win the prizes. Although a white author cannot win a Coretta Scott King Award, little is being taken away from them. I agree with Pinkney's stance that it is more important to focus on the creative talents of minority writers than to focus on what people in the majority will lose by not being granted the Coretta Scott King Award. Thank you for listening to my presentation on the Coretta Scott King Award. If you have any questions or you would like some additional information, please use my sources that I've listed below.